Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Radha Krishna Chandra, Radha Krishna Chandra, Radha Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram. Jaya Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Jaya Nitai Gauranga. Jaya Prahlāda Narsimha, Prahlāda Narsimha, Prahlāda Narsimha, Jaya Sudarshana. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Srila Prabhupada. जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय. स्कॉन फाउंडर आचार्य बीबीडी फाउंडर आचार्य सेवियर ऑफ द होल वर्ल्ड जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय. जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस नित्य लीला प्रविष्ट हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर महाराज की जय. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय. नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय. श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरी गोवर्धन की जय. मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय. नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय. जगन्नाथपुरी क्षेत्र की जय. गंगा माई यमुना माई की जय. वृंद देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय. श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण चंद्र की जय. श्री श्री कृष्ण बलराम की जय. श्री श्री निताय गौरांग की जय. श्री श्री प्रहलाद नरसिंह देव की जय. श्री श्री सुदर्शन भगवान की जय. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद्-भागवतम की जय. निताय गौर प्रेमानंदी. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्. नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. Reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, 7th Canto, 9th Chapter, text number 40. जिह्वैकतो अच्युता विकर्षति मा वितृप्ता. जिह्वैकतोच्युत विकर्षति मा वितृप्ता. शिष्णो अन्यथा त्वग् उदरं श्रवणं कुतश्चेत्. शिष्णोऽन्यतस्त्वग् उदरं श्रवणं कुतश्चेत्. घ्राणो अन्यथा चपल दृक् क्व च कर्मशक्ति. घ्राणोऽन्यतश्चपलदृक् क्व च कर्मशक्ति. बह्व्यः सपत्न्या इव गेहपतिं लुनन्ति बह्व्यः सपत्न्य इव गेहपतिं लुनन्ति जिह्वैकतोच्युत विकर्षति मा वितृप्ता शिष्णोऽन्यतस्त्वगुदरं श्रवणं कुतश्चेत् घ्राणोऽन्यतश्च फलदृक् च कर्मशक्तिः बह्व्यः सपत्न्य इव गेहपतिं लुनन्ति जिह्वैकतोच्युत विकर्षति मा वितृप्ता शिष्णोऽन्यतस्त्वगुदरं श्रवणं कुतश्चेत् घ्राणोऽन्यतश्च फलदृक् च कर्मशक्तिः बह्व्यः सपत्न्य इव गेहपतिं लुनन्ति च कर्म शक्ति सपत्न्य इव गेहपतिं लुनन्ति जिह्वा the tongue ekatah to one side achyuta O my infallible Lord vikarshati attracts me, avitripta, not being satisfied, shishnaha, the genitals, anyataha, to another side, tvak, the skin, for touching a soft thing, udaram, the belly, for various types of food, shravanam, the ear, for hearing some sweet music, kutaschit, to some other side, ghranaha, the nose, for smelling, anyataha, to still another side, chapaladrik, the restless eyesight, kvacha, somewhere, karma shaktihi, the active senses, bahvyaha, many, sapatnyaha, co-wives, eva, like, gehapatim, a householder, lunanti, annihilate. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Translation. My dear Lord, O Infallible One, my position is like that of a person who has many wives, all trying to attract him in their own way. For example, the tongue is attracted to palatable dishes, the genitals to sex with an attractive woman, and the sense of touch to contact with soft things. The belly, although filled, still wants to eat more, and the ear, not attempting to hear about you, is generally attracted to cinema songs. The sense of smell is attracted to yet another side. The restless eyes are attracted to scenes of sense gratification, and the active senses are attracted elsewhere. In this way, I am certainly embarrassed. Please repeat. My dear Lord, O infallible one, my position is like that of a person who has many wives, all trying to attract him in their own way. For example, the tongue is attracted to palatable dishes, the genitals to sex with an attractive woman, and the sense of touch to contact with soft things. The belly, although filled, still wants to eat more, and the ear, not attempting to hear about you, is generally attracted to cinema songs. The sense of smell is attracted to yet another side. The restless eyes are attracted to scenes of sense gratification, and the active senses are attracted elsewhere. In this way, I am certainly embarrassed. Purport. The human form of life is meant for God realization. But this process, which begins with Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnoho, hearing and chanting of the holy name of the Lord, is disturbed as long as our senses are materially attracted. Therefore, devotional service means purifying the senses. In the conditioned state, our senses are covered by material sense gratification. And as long as one is not trained in purifying the senses, one cannot become a devotee. In our Krishna consciousness movement, therefore, we advise from the very beginning that one restrict the activities of the senses, especially the tongue, which is described by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur as most greedy and unconquerable. To stop this attraction of the tongue, one is authoritatively advised not to accept meat or similar uneatable things, nor to allow the tongue to hanker to drink or smoke. Even the drinking of tea and coffee is not permitted. Similarly, the genitals must be restricted from illicit sex. Without such restraint of the senses, one cannot make advancement in Krishna consciousness. The only method of controlling the senses is to chant and hear the holy name of the Lord. Otherwise, one will always be disturbed, as a householder with more than one wife would be disturbed by them for sense gratification. The sense the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Sarasvate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this is a continuation with what we discussed in the previous class. Prahlāda Mahārāja was telling, Durita dushtam asadhu tibram. My mind is dusht, asadhu. It is dishonest. It has become uncontrollable. Why? Na sampriyate. Because I don't hear and chant about the Lord, my mind is very, very contaminated. Harsha shoka bhaya shanartaha. And then it is affected by harsh, shok, sometimes lamentation, sometimes jubilation. Bhaya, fear, material desires, they all have taken their seat in my mind. And thus I have no attraction. How can I discuss about you when my mind is so much disturbed? So this is the first thing. When mind is disturbed, then what happens? Mind is the center of all activities of senses. Then senses become disturbed. That Prahlāda Mahārāja is telling here. So that is why it is told the first duty in spiritual life is Savai Manaha Krishna Padar Vindayo. One should fix one's mind on the lotus feet of Krishna, like Amrish Maharaj did. So when the mind is always fixed on the lotus feet of Krishna, automatically senses will act in the service of Krishna. So this is the practice of Krishna consciousness. So that is why we do deity worship. For neophytes, it is very much recommended. So when we do deity worship very nicely, then our mind will become fixed on the lotus feet of Krishna. When the mind is always thinking of lotus feet of Krishna, senses will also act for Krishna. Otherwise, what will happen? The senses, as Prahlāda Mahārāja is telling here, all the senses are pulling in different directions. One will become disturbed. But this is also an important point. So one may wonder, entire purport is very nice, but this last line might be difficult to understand. So here it is written in the last line of the purport. Otherwise, one will always be disturbed, as a householder with more than one wife would be disturbed by them for sense gratification. If a person is having more than one wife, his life is blissful, isn't it? So people want to have many, many wives. So because I have got one wife, so I have to act like her slave for sense enjoyment. Otherwise, she will not enjoy with me. So I become slave. If I have many, many wives, then it is so nice. All of them will compete with each other. I will feel so much privileged. They would like to draw my attention, isn't it? That is a common understanding. But here it is being told that as a householder with more than one wife would be disturbed by them for sense gratification. Disturbed? Why disturbed? It is good, no? I will be having choice to enjoy various kinds of sense gratification. Whichever wife I want, I can enjoy with her. So if we have more than one wife, then logically it is a very pleasant situation. Why it is being told unpleasant situation? So whole world is doing this calculation. And this is called Maya. Maya means illusion. It appears that I will be having a very pleasant situation. The whole world is busy in such calculation only. And what is the result of such calculation? As we were discussing in the class yesterday, the statistics are showing parents are working very, very hard so that they think we could not have all the resources with us. So let us work very hard so that our children are not deprived of any enjoyment. Let us give them all the resources. So the children are getting into good schools, wearing nice, costly dresses, at least more than their parents. That is what they do, isn't it? Every successive generation works for economic development. And we think economic development means happiness. And this training they give to their children, you also work very hard for your economic development. And a person thinks, just like it is common sense, if you have many wives, you would be in bliss. It is common sense. If you do economic development, you will be happy. And without exception, everyone is working hard just to that end. But what is the result of this? As we saw yesterday, statistics are showing. Every successive generation is more and more depressed. The millennials, 45% of them are reporting cases of mental disorders. And Gen Z, next generation, 56%. Means more than 50%. Majority of them are having mental disorders. So every successive generation is more distressed. So thus this is called Maya. This is called illusion. So that is why this illusion happens. As Srila Prabhupada tells many times, Dilli ka laddu, khaya pachhtaya, na khaya to bhi pachhtaya. So this is called married life. One who is not married, he thinks, oh, let me get married and then I will enjoy, I'll be very happy. And one who is married, he is more embarrassed. He is also lamenting. So one who is not married, he is lamenting, I am not getting a good partner. And those who have got partners, they are also lamenting. So then some people say, कि पछताना है तो चलो लड्डू खा के पछता लेते हैं. So this is the logic which they apply. Anyway, I have to lament, so let me eat the laddu and lament. But they do not have common sense. That the solution of this problem is not to eat the laddu and lament. Because the situation has actually this very, very important, very significant statement. This is the life of materialist. He is always lamenting how much ever he can change his situation. The situation is like he was burning on frying pan, so he jumped off the frying pan so that he can save himself, but landed on fire. So Prabhupada tells from frying pan to fire. Khaya to bhi pachhtaya, na khaya to bhi pachhtaya. So poor materialist does not have any clue what do I do in my life. Person is worried, I am not getting good wife. So he works very hard so that he gets promotion. One devotee was telling that, Prabhu, I am trying to rigorously switch companies. I told, why? Because I am not getting good matches. Girls are seeing my salary is less. Right? That's what my father would tell me when I was young. He would tell a story that there was an IPS officer and he went to a party. And IPS means wife should be beautiful, right? So his wife was beautiful. And some youngsters, as is their natural tendency, they pass some remarks. Then what did IPS officer do? He went to them and he told them, मेरे जैसे पढ़ाई करो, मेहनत करो, तुमको भी ऐसी वाइफ मिलेगी. So this is how the children are inspired. You work hard so that you can get good life partner. Yes, they think they'll be happy by doing this activity. But those who are married, they are also lamenting, so he does not know. If I stay with my wife, I am having headache. If I stay away, again there is problem. So people do not know what to do. That is why they marry and they get divorced. They marry second time, again they get divorced. So in divorce they are in distress. In married life, they are again in distress. If I do job, I am cursing my manager. What kind of person? We use beautiful words in his glories. And if I do not do job, then why you are doing job, sir? If you are in distress in job, leave the job. No, then also I am lamenting, I am not having job. So I am lamenting in job, I am lamenting out of job. When the son stays with father, he argues with the father, father laments. If son goes away, again father laments. So this is the situation. Their life is full of lamentation. There is nothing else. Frying pan to fire. They are always burning. Their hearts are always burning. So thus the solution is whether eat or not to eat is not the solution. The solution is why this desire is there. Because I have a material desire to enjoy this so-called laddu. So that is why I am suffering from the after effects. If I do not eat, I suffer. If I eat, then also I suffer. So somehow if I can get rid of this desire, then I am very happy and peaceful. So that is why Prahlāda Mahārāja tells, a man has got no enemies in this world, but the only enemies are uncontrolled mind and senses. Because a person cannot control the senses which act like many wives. Like wives are pulling for sense enjoyment. Similarly, if senses are not trained, senses are not controlled, all the senses are pulling for sense enjoyment in different directions. I cannot control my sex urge. I need to have a wife. Now, because I need a wife to satisfy my sex urge, I have to work hard so that I get a beautiful wife. I can enjoy nice enjoyment. So I have to study very nicely then. And study is a great torture. That is why after, all this exam, when they come to IIT, they do wild parties. They take great pleasure in tearing off their shirts, rolling in the mud. You see how they celebrate festival. They want to freak out. They want to enjoy. Poor people have been so much embarrassed by the study. The people who are supposed to be most studious, they also have no interest in studies. But because they cannot control their senses, they are forced to work hard. 10 years, 14 years, 15 years, forced to spend money, toil like anything. Why? Because they cannot control senses. So much torture every day, going to school, sitting there for 5, 6, 8 hours, then coaching. They have worked so hard because they could not control their senses. Otherwise, a person is free. If one can control his senses, then no need to marry, no need for any job, no need of cursing the manager, you are free. But when the senses are not, then senses are pulling a person. So, by common sense, a person thinks, oh, sense enjoyment is very nice. Sir, this sense enjoyment is only the cause of all your troubles. Because you are not able to control the senses. That is why all these sufferings are there around us. So that is why we have to remember this very important verse of Prahlāda Mahārāja. 7th canto, 7th chapter, verse number 42. What is the verse? Prahlāda Mahārāja, small boy, he is telling why people are so much embarrassed. Sukhaya dukha mokshaya sankalpa iha karminaha. Karmis, materialists, they work just for two things, to increase happiness and mitigate distress. Sada apnoti ihaya dukkham. But what they get as a result of this endeavor? Dukkham. Sada apnoti, always he attains only misery in his life. So just see this kind of service we have rendered to our children. That next generation has become more depressed. Is it not eye-opening? Why we are working hard for economic development when it is increasing the misery in the successive generations? So it means this very thing which I am thinking will make me happy, this is the cause of my distress. This is how we have served our children. We have made them more depressed. The children of the richest people of India, richest means richest, top 3, they are in depression. Children of the most famous celebrities, they are in depression. They are intelligent, they are famous, they can afford all the resources, but all their resources are not able to help them make their children happy or themselves happy. So Prahlāda Mahārāja tells, so translation is very important. Sada apnoti ihaya dukkham. So please mark the words. Prahlāda Mahārāja tells, in this material world, every materialist desires to achieve happiness and diminishes distress. Every materialist desires to increase happiness and diminish distress. And this is the mistake that we all do. If we desire to increase our happiness in this world and diminish the distress, there is a very big mistake. Why? Prahlāda Mahārāja tells, and therefore he acts accordingly. Actually, however, one is happy as long as one does not endeavor for happiness. Prahlāda Mahārāja is telling, actually one is happy as long as one does not endeavor for happiness. As long as one does not work for happiness, person will be happy. As soon as one begins his activities for happiness, his conditions of distress begin. As soon as one begins his activities for happiness, conditions of distress begin. So same activity which you are thinking, it will mitigate my distress and increase the happiness, they create distress in my life. In this material world, every materialist desires to achieve happiness and diminishes distress, and therefore he acts accordingly. Actually, however, one is happy as long as one does not endeavor for happiness. One is happy as long as one does not endeavor for happiness. If I am not acting to increase my happiness, I will be happy. As soon as As soon as means immediately. As soon as one begins his activities for happiness, his conditions of distress begin. So therefore, a devotee does not work to improve one's happiness or mitigate distress. Devotees, but work we have to do. We cannot sleep or be silent. So then what does a devotee do? Devotee works to increase Krishna's happiness and mitigate Krishna's distress. In that course of activity, we may get happiness or we may get distress, both. So devotee has got no business in mitigating his stress in life or increasing his happiness. Devotee just wants to see what will please Krishna. So if I offer nice foodstuffs to Krishna, that pleases Krishna. And if I eat those foodstuffs, I also get happiness automatically, right? But on certain days, fasting pleases Krishna. Like appearance days, Ekadashi festival. So on Ekadashi, we have to fast. And when we fast on Ekadashi, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked, just for this one boon from his mother, my mother, please grant me just one wish. I do not want anything else from you. What is that, my son? Mahaprabhu told, please fast on Ekadashi under all circumstances. She told, but I am a widow. Are widows also supposed to fast? He told, yes, without exception. So he told, my dear mother, just fast on Ekadashi. So fasting is actually distress. But because in this distress, Krishna gets pleasure, I will take this distress. Similarly, we do parikrama, Govardhan parikrama, 23 kilometers. Sometimes people do barefoot. So many sores appear on the feet and then we get tired. So this is distress. But we embrace this distress because Krishna gets pleasure in this. Similarly, when we go out for book distribution, for preaching, people may insult us. So that is embarrassing. When people turn you off, turn you away. But devotee takes this embarrassment and insult because Krishna is getting pleased in this activity. If I donate my hard-earned money for Krishna, that may cause me distress, material distress. I could have enjoyed more luxury with that, but a devotee takes the distress in the service of Krishna. So thus a devotee has got no business. Devotee does not do any activity for mitigating personal distress because a devotee is convinced that happiness and distress, whatever Krishna is giving, Krishna is my father. Whatever father gives, that is good for me. Sometimes father can give bitter medicine for the good health of child. Child takes it. Sometimes father may also slap the child if child is going astray. When the child grows intelligent, grows up, he realizes that was very good. I was smoking, my father slapped me, so I was saved from this addiction. So why we are trying to avoid distress? This is called atheism, faithlessness. I do not have faith on Krishna, Prabhupada tells. Why are you working hard for economic development when Krishna wants you to stay on that platform of prosperity? Why you want to rebel against Krishna? So Krishna has done some natural arrangement for us. So one should be satisfied with that. With regulated work in life, whatever comes in our life, that is good. So distress is required. Just like we discussed in last to last session, surgery gives pain, but surgery is required for good health in long term. So why do you want to avoid the pain of surgery? It is required for you. So intelligent person voluntarily goes for surgery if he is wise. That is called austerity, tapasya. So that is why in human form of life, we should only see what will please Krishna and what will displease Krishna. So what displeases Krishna should be avoided at all cost. What pleases Krishna should be done at all cost. No matter how much ever distress I am having in my life. Arjuna faced severe distress by killing all his relatives. Yudhishthira Maharaj faced severe distress. He was very morose after battle of Kurukshetra. But because Krishna wanted it, they went for it. It was not for their desire. So thus we should understand this very important concept. Please do not do anything. We have seen the result from data, from statistics, from common sense. So that is why Prabhupada tells in the purport. The human form of life is meant for God realization, which begins with Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnoho, hearing and chanting of the holy name of the Lord. So human life is meant for God. That is the only purpose, God realization. That is where my real happiness lies. The more I advance in God realization, the more I become truly happy. I feel real happiness, real bliss, which is always there in my heart. But this process of God realization begins with what? Begins with Shravanam Kirtanam, chanting and hearing of the names of God. So this we should not forget, Prabhupada mentions. All the spiritual activities are based on foundation of chanting and hearing. If hearing is affected, we are not able to hear properly. Either Bhagavatam lecture or reading is also considered hearing. We are not able to read nicely or hear Hare Krishna mantra or chanting and kirtan nicely. Then whatever else we may do, it will not have much effect. So very good hearing is very, very important. So God realization begins with chanting and hearing. But here it is mentioned, Prabhupada mentions, this process of God realization, which begins with chanting and hearing of the holy name of the Lord, is disturbed as long as our senses are materially attracted. So as long as our senses are materially attracted, this process will be disturbed. Therefore, devotional service means purifying the senses. Why the senses are materially attracted? Because they are impure. Only in the impure state, just like a person is attracted to nasty habits when the heart is impure. So because of impure senses, the senses are attracted to material enjoyment. Otherwise, when the senses are pure, they will desire only Krishna's satisfaction. They will not at all be attracted. Eyes will not be attracted to see anything else than Krishna's form, the form of devotees. Tongue will not desire to taste anything. Tongue will not be attracted at all to taste bhoga. Tongue will just desire to taste the remnant of Krishna prasadam. So that is why Prabhupada says devotional service means purifying the senses. In the conditioned state, our senses are covered by material sense gratification. And as long as one is not trained in purifying the senses, one cannot become a devotee. So here Prabhupada uses very important word. As long as one is not trained in purifying the senses, one cannot become devotee. So one needs to have training. What is the meaning of training? If we hear somebody is getting trained, what comes into our mind? He is following some rigorous discipline under the direction of a trainer. Trainer is required for training. That is why accepting spiritual master is required. So Prabhupada is writing, and as long as one is not trained in purifying the senses, one cannot become devotee. Without training, one cannot control senses. Senses are compared to snake. Can we control snake very easily? Snake charmers come, but they can control. How? Because they are trained. A snake charmer can come, snake cannot harm him. He will remove his poison fangs also. If we do that, we will be killed. So if we want to control the senses, it will be impossible unless we are trained by an expert spiritual master. So one needs to undergo this training in controlling the senses. And training means rigorous discipline is required. A person needs to follow coach very, very strictly. That is called training. So one needs to find a good trainer, a spiritual master, and then follow his instructions very, very strictly. Then senses will come under control. Unless one is trained in purifying the senses, one cannot become a devotee. In our Krishna consciousness movement, therefore, we advise from the very beginning that one restrict the activities of the senses, especially the tongue. So Prabhupada tells, thus from the beginning we tell to restrict the activities of senses. So it is very important that we restrict the activities of the senses. We cannot go on enjoying the activities of the senses and we think that I am advancing. No, one cannot become a devotee. Understanding of Krishna will not develop in the heart. Hearing and chanting will be disturbed if our senses are not restricted. So sense control is very much required. So we don't sometimes pay attention to this process. So we should see that Krishna consciousness also does not become mundane Hinduism as it happens. People go to temple, they will chant something and they will do sense gratification also. And unfortunately it is happening. We see some devotees who are chanting 16 rounds initiated. They are also watching cricket match with their 16 rounds. So what have we learned? We are doing gross sense gratification. They are watching movies and they are chanting 16 rounds also. So basic sense control is not there in life. So then we cannot expect any advancement. Senses should be rigidly controlled. And especially Prabhupada is mentioning, as Prabhupada always mentions, one should restrict the activities of the senses, especially the tongue, which is described by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur as most greedy and unconquerable. It is very, very difficult to control the tongue. So that is why we should take a vow, I will not taste anything but Krishna Prasadam. And Prabhupada displayed it to such an extent that when Prabhupada was there in US in the early days, I think in San Francisco was the past time. So he went with devotees to meet a yogi. He was a pleasant personality. And he offered Prabhupada some fruits to eat. And devotees told, oh, it is very nice yogi diet, let us have it, fruits. But then Prabhupada was sitting, he did not take fruits. And then Prabhupada told, we don't take anything which is not offered to Krishna. So Prabhupada did not even take the fruits which were not offered to Krishna. Sometimes we become loose. Oh, it is not cooked by anybody, so I can take fruits just like that. No. Yes, cooked food is carrying a lot of karma of the person who has cooked. But even the fruit, we cannot eat like that without offering. It is very sinful. So Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj, he ate a mango without offering, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur chastised him for the same reason. You have eaten this fruit without offering to Krishna. So Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj felt so bad, entire life he did not take mangoes. So to this extent, what to speak of eating bhoga or cooked food by outsiders, it is very, very contaminating. Vishaira anna khaila malina hai mana. Mind becomes malina, very contaminated. So one cannot think of nahi Krishna smarana, one cannot think of Krishna by eating this food. So thus one should very, very rigidly avoid eating any food which is not offered to Krishna. Even fruits we should offer. Of course, there are exceptions when we are traveling somewhere. Our jobs are like that. Even for preaching, we have to travel at times. As far as possible, we carry packed prasadam with us, offered fruits with us. But if offered fruits have gotten over, we are traveling for a long time, some circumstances are there, then we can purchase prasadam. Drav mulyena shuddhyati. If we pay for something, it gets purified. But it should only be in exceptional circumstances when we are traveling for Krishna's work. So then we can pay, and then we can offer in the mind, and then we can eat. Otherwise, one should be very, very strict to take just Krishna Prasadam. It is no mundane process. Prasadam gets spiritualized. It is getting transformed. Although we cannot see from the mundane eyes. Prasadam is very, very powerful. Thus, there is a shloka. If one can simply do these two things, if I can just take a vow, I will not take anything in my life except Krishna Prasadam. I will not speak anything but the holy names of Krishna, about Krishna, Krishna Katha. Krishna will come under his control, in his grip. So Prabhupada tells the process is chanting and hearing, but here it is told just jivva. If one can just take a vow, I will just take Krishna Prasadam and I will not use my tongue for anything but chanting Krishna's name always, constantly. Krishna will come under one's grip. So thus one should restrict, one should control the activities of senses. It is very important. And greatest distractions are these days are phones. Greatest sense enjoyment. Morning to night we are addicted. Devotees are addicted, checking WhatsApp status, this thing. This is also uncontrolled sense enjoyment. So if we do this thing, then also again our hearing and chanting will be disturbed. So one should be very, very vigilant, very, very controlled. All the senses should be very strictly controlled, like one controls the snakes, it is told. Senses are called kal, like snakes. So how do we do it? It is very dangerous. So Prabhupada is giving solution also. What is the solution? Without such restraint of senses, one cannot make advancement in Krishna consciousness. The only method of controlling the senses is to chant and hear the holy names of the Lord. So Prabhupada is giving solution also. And he's telling only method. What is the only method? Chant and names of Krishna. Yes, to support this chanting and hearing, we have to do so many other things. We have to do deity worship also. We have to do our book reading also nicely. We have to do our seva also very nicely. But all these things are designed so that we can chant the holy name, which is the Prabhupada, just like a medicine is there. There is an active ingredient, the principal main ingredient, active principle in the medicine.
Active principle means the main ingredient. So many other things can be there. Similarly, although so many things we have to do, but the most important active ingredient we should not forget of this medicine of Krishna consciousness, and that is chanting of the holy names of Krishna, chanting and hearing. So we should give great importance. We should realize this is the most important process. So Prabhupada told, you know why I've written so many books for you? So that you can chant Hare Krishna. This is the purpose of all the books. Chant Hare Krishna offenselessly. So one may think, what is this? In the first line of the purport, Prabhupada is telling, if our senses are attracted to material enjoyment, hearing and chanting is disturbed. And solution is also hearing and chanting. How do we understand? So thus, the chanting is of three types, three categories Prabhupada explains, as we know. It is Nama Parad, Nama Bhas and Shuddha Nam. There are three stages of chanting. So real chanting means pure chanting. Shuddha Nam, that immediately gives us love of Godhead. It is on the purified platform. But in order to reach that purified platform, one has to go through Nama Parad, offensive chanting. So even though chanting in the beginning will be offensive, so very nicely Prabhupada mentions here. Actually, this transcendental name of Krishna or God can be chanted in liberated stage. Nivritta tarshaya rupagiyamana. Trishna means thirst. We have thirst for material enjoyment, then we cannot chant holy name. Nivritta tarshaya, those who are completely devoid of this Trishna, hankering to enjoy the senses, upagiyamana, they can actually chant the name of Krishna, Shuddha name, Shuddha Nam. So actually this transcendental name of Krishna or God can be chanted in liberated stage. We cannot chant that transcendental name now. Therefore we prescribed while chanting there are three stages, the offensive stage, liberated stage, and actually on the platform of love of Godhead stage. That is the perfectional stage by chanting. In the beginning we chant in offensive stage, the 10 kinds of offenses. But that does not mean that we shall not chant. Even there are offenses, we shall go on chanting. That chanting will help me to get out of all offenses. So if we continue offensive chanting with an attempt to get rid of offenses, this is important. Then that chanting will help me to come out of offenses. Therefore, this list of 10 kinds of offenses are given. We should try to avoid. And as soon as it is offenseless chanting, then it is liberated stage. So Prabhupada is telling one should try to avoid this list, the 10 offenses which are mentioned. So when we try to avoid these offenses, we come to the platform of liberated chanting. As soon as it is offenseless chanting, it is liberated stage. That is liberated stage. And after liberated stage, the chanting will be so pleasing because that is on the transcendental platform that actual love of Krishna and God will be relished. So on the liberated stage, chanting will be very, very attractive, very pleasant to do. So one should try to avoid offenses, Prabhupada tells. If we don't try to avoid offenses, then you chant for millions of lives, Prabhupada tells. For millions of lives, we have to keep on chanting. But if we try to avoid, then we'll be able to come to advanced stages. But the same thing, the chanting in the offensive stage, the chanting and the liberated stage is chanting, but in the mature stage. Just like Rup Goswami, he used to say that, what shall I chant with one tongue and what shall I hear with 2 ears? If millions of ears I had, if millions of tongue I had, then I could chant and hear, because they are in liberated stage. But we should not be dejected that, oh, what can I do? I'm not able to come to liberated stage, not able to chant purely. So we should not be dejected. Sometimes we get dejected. I've been chanting, I'm not getting the result. So Prabhupada is writing, one should not be dejected for that purpose. We should continue with perseverance. Maya will test. Maya will push us to so many fall downs, especially fall down of illicit sex, which is difficult to control because of our wrong upbringing and environment. But we have to persevere, Prabhupada tells. Those who persevere, God helps those who help themselves. So it's a war. We will get defeated. We have to stand again, Prabhupada tells, with double enthusiasm. So take this failure as stepping stone to success. Failure can be used as stepping stone. You climb on that and you approach closer to success. Learn from the mistakes. Why this mistake happened? So rather than getting demotivated, Prabhupada tells, now you try to serve Krishna in a letter Prabhupada told with double enthusiasm. One should continue with perseverance. Utsahat dhairyat. Utsaha means enthusiasm and dhairyat means perseverance, patience. There will be mistakes, there will be fall downs, senses will pull us down. So, but we have to be patient. If the patient gets disturbed, oh, I'm not getting cured by taking medicines. No, you keep on taking, you'll be cured if you follow directions of the doctor. And before that, enthusiasm, Prabhupada is writing, is required. What is enthusiasm? Enthusiasm is the same thing. Watch what Karni is called passion. Strong spirit for success. They call it passion. That purified spirit is called enthusiasm. So just like materialists are very enthusiastic. Yes, I want to attain this platform. I want to have this much money. I want to have this much, these many marks, this score, this success. Similar enthusiasm we should have for improving our chanting. So enthusiasm, Prabhupada tells, is like an engine. An engine is there, it is required to pull a train. So that enthusiasm is required either for material success. Nobody can be successful in any sphere, either material or spiritual. Enthusiasm is like an engine. So I should cultivate this enthusiasm, this desire. Just like people are so very much enthusiastic. 5 दिन जॉब करते हैं, सैटरडे संडे को एक्स्ट्रा कोर्स करते हैं प्रमोशन के लिए. So hard people are working. There is no time because they are very enthusiastic. I want to attain this as soon as possible. Similarly, this enthusiasm is the secret, Prabhupada, and all the qualities will come automatically. And what is actually enthusiasm, Prabhupada defines? I should jump now. Yes, I am enthusiastic. So Prabhupada's enthusiasm means action with intelligence. That is called enthusiasm. Yes, I am very enthusiastic for studies. I go and jump in the school every day. Jumping, I go to school and then I sleep. Enthusiasm means one should take action. If you are very enthusiastic for studies, you should study, take actions. So thus enthusiasm means, and not blind action. Yes, bro, preaching, I will go and preach and everywhere. In China, I'll go and preach. You will get arrested and they will kill you. So intelligence also should be used, Prabhupada tells. So enthusiasm means action with intelligence. So thus, if I am enthusiastic to improve my chanting, and I should be enthusiastic, Prabhupada tells, then I should chart out my action plan. Where am I lacking in my chanting? What mistakes are? Where am I committing these 10 offenses? How to avoid these offenses? What is making me inattentive? How to be more attentive? I am feeling very sleepy in the morning program, thus my hearing is affected, chanting is affected. How can I take better rest? What do I do so that I am very alert in the chanting time in the morning program? And then chart out the action plan and implement actions. So with intelligence, when we act, that is called enthusiasm. It should translate into action. So like this, there should be enthusiasm, and then it will improve. Otherwise, if we are not enthusiastic, we are not having this strong spirit to improve my chanting, to take it to next level. So anxiety must be there, Prabhupada tells. But devotee knows the art of turning material anxiety to Krishna anxiety. So unless we take anxiety for Krishna, material anxieties will embarrass us, because that is the nature of this material world. Nature of material world is that one will be put into anxiety. But devotee knows the art of converting this anxiety into Krishna anxiety. So are we very anxious? Just like materialists are very anxious. I am getting late for office. Oh, I have to work hard. My quarterly goals are not met. Am I meeting my quarterly goals for spiritual life? Have I even decided goals in my spiritual life? So just like people have worked so hard, they measure their progress. We have to do this in the spiritual affairs also. Same spirit. As Madhu Pandit Prabhu tells, soulful japa is very easy. What is soulful japa? The principles which you apply in your material life, you have to apply in spiritual life. That's it. Same principles we have to. So Prabhupada tells, anxiety will be there. So people ask how to get rid of anxiety. So we cannot get rid of anxiety. You have to take anxiety for Krishna. But this Krishna anxiety gives bliss in the heart. When I'm very anxious, how to chant, how to improve, and how to preach, how to make others devotees, take anxiety for that, then you see there will be no material anxiety. Material life will be automatic. Yoga kshemam vahamiham. Krishna will protect, preserve what we have. Krishna will provide what we lack even materially. So thus devotee's life is very, very comfortable even materially, provided, and we can experiment in our life. We are students of science, so we can experiment, take anxiety for Krishna, and then we see how our life becomes automatic, becomes very smooth. Everything falls in place. Otherwise, we see successive generations are becoming more and more depressed. So we have to take anxiety for Krishna, and then there is no more disturbing material anxiety. This Krishna anxiety brings tremendous bliss in our life. So one should be enthusiastic for this. And along with that, Maya is not easy. Maya will push us down, press us down. There will be failures. So we should be persevering. That is called patience. Again stand up, again walk. Again you fall down, again stand up. Because we are serving Krishna, success is assured, success is guaranteed. Utsahat, Nishchayat. Nishchayat means with firm determination. Yes, I have begun chanting. Maybe there are offenses, but if I continue, Krishna will be pleased to place me on the transcendental platform. Devotees sometimes think pleasure nahi aa raha hai, Prabhu, I am not getting pleasure. So this is another trap. So thus Prabhupada told. So if I am thinking of spiritual pleasure, sometimes this can also be, actually that is also sense gratification. So that is why Prabhupada told, I simply asked my Guru Maharaj one question, and that was, how can I serve you? So we simply should bother ourselves with service of Krishna. If you serve anybody very nicely, will that person not become happy? And if Krishna is happy with us, shall we not be happy also automatically? So it is very simple. We should simply ask, how can I serve Krishna? If I am serving Krishna, I should be pleased with that. I should not do it as business transaction. Krishna, give me happiness. No, I am serving you so nicely. No, it is not business. You may not give me happiness. If Krishna wishes, he may give me. Otherwise, he can test my patience. He may not give me happiness. Ashli Shiva Padratam Pinashtumam. You manifest yourself before me or you don't manifest yourself. It does not matter. I want to engage in your service. So I should just see if I am able to hear holy name attentively or not. I should just pray to Krishna, Krishna, please engage me in service of your name very nicely. Holy name, please engage me in your service. Now, whether pleasure comes, it is okay. Pleasure does not come, that is okay. So when I was Bhakta, I was very much disturbed. So I approached Satyagar Prabhu, who was our temple commander at that time. So he was training all of us. So I told Prabhu, I am very disturbed. Sometimes I get pleasure, sometimes I don't get pleasure in chanting. So when I don't get pleasure, I get disturbed. Or today I could not get pleasure in chanting. So Prabhu told, Haribol, now we are not on that platform that we will always relish chanting. So don't focus on pleasure, focus on the holy name. And this was a miracle formula. While chanting, I would just think, don't focus on pleasure, focus on holy name. And then when you focus on holy name, just on serving Krishna, when Krishna is pleased, he sees sincere attitude of not even desiring. What to speak of desiring? Devotees leave spiritual pleasure for service of Krishna. Prabhupada left Vrindavan for service of Krishna. Was living in a place where he has to share his fridge with meat eater. Prasadam is kept with meat. So Prabhupada sacrifices spiritual pleasure for serving Krishna. Mother Rukmani is doing chamar to Krishna. And she's coming in ecstasy. The limbs are getting stunned. And she's cursing this ecstasy. Why am I feeling this pleasure? Because of this spiritual pleasure, I'm not able to serve Krishna. They are cursing spiritual pleasure because their body is getting stunned. So this is the advanced life. These are very confidential secrets of spiritual life, which Prabhupada has told us. So devotee is just concerned with serving Krishna. He can give up material pleasure. He can give up spiritual pleasure also. And when a devotee has such an attitude, will Krishna not give spiritual pleasure? We should just focus on service of Krishna. Take anxiety for serving Krishna. Then Krishna will be pleased. So thus one should not feel dejected, Prabhupada tells. Maybe there are offenses, but if I continue, Krishna will be pleased to place me on the transcendental platform when I shall relish what is this chanting Hare Krishna. Just like Vishwanath Chakravarti has given that the mango in the ripe stage and unripe stage. Unripe stage is bitter, but the same mango when it is fully ripe, it is sweet. The sweetness. We shall have to wait for this stage, and we shall have to be careful that we may not commit offenses. So don't get disturbed. Prabhu, I am not getting pleasure. No, wait. We have to wait for that stage. And we shall have to be careful that we may not commit offenses. Now, wait does not mean it's okay. No, I have to be careful. I am following rules and regulations. I should be very strict in following the rules and regulations, in serving nicely, and then let spiritual progress, advancement come as per the will of Krishna. Then we can come. We shall come. Just like a diseased patient, if he follows the regulations given by the physician and takes the medicine, then surely he will be cured. So thus we should understand that this material mundane calculation, let me have more enjoyment, more wife, it will only cause more embarrassment. So person with more so-called sources of enjoyment makes one's life miserable. Prahlāda Mahārāja tells one is happy as long as one does not endeavor for happiness. As soon as one begins to work for happiness, his conditions of distress begin. So I should be careful. One step I should not take for increasing my happiness. Every step should be for increasing Krishna's happiness. But our senses will not allow this work. Senses will pull us for material enjoyment. So we have to purify the senses. And the only remedy Prabhupada tells is chanting. Only remedy is chanting and hearing the holy names of Lord. So it does not mean we neglect other processes. If we follow all the other processes very nicely, if you follow sadachar, if you follow the etiquettes nicely, don't violate the regulative principles, respect all the devotees, serve very nicely the devotees, we avoid the 10 offenses, we read regularly, every day we do morning evening program, all these things should be done because this improves our chanting. But chanting is the remedy. I should be able to chant and hear offenselessly. Any questions? We have questions online. Yes. 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 Yeah. Yes. In a regulated way he watches, just the slog overs, not entire match. So the question is, Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita, Yukta hara viharasya, yukta cheshtasya karmasu, yukta swapnava bodhasya, yogo bhavati dukkha. Krishna tells one who is regulated in his habits of ahar, eating, and vihar, recreation, sleep and work. He can mitigate all his pains by practice of yoga. So regulated recreation, Krishna is telling you to. So we have to understand what kind of recreation is allowed or it is legitimate. Somebody will tell my recreation is illicit sex. I will just have 2 more partners. So can it be allowed? No. My regulated enjoyment is I take enjoyment in eating meat. So I will just take little meat once in a week. Is that allowed? No. So thus Prabhupada tells, what is this regulated recreation? This regulated recreation is, so all these activities, in regulation also when I am eating does not mean I can eat bhoga. In regulation we have to honor Krishna Prasadam. Regulation work does not mean I will work for my enjoyment. For Krishna's pleasure, I will work in a regulated manner. For Krishna's service also, I cannot work like madmen, leaving my chanting, hearing and sadhana. Then I will be lost. So these regulated activities are also for Krishna's satisfaction. Whatever 8 hours I am supposed to work, this regulation should be there, and those 8 hours I should work for Krishna. Similarly, this recreation is also for pleasure of Krishna. So Prabhupada tells, what is recreation for devotee? Kirtan. Chanting and hearing is our recreation. That we are doing every morning and evening. And that also should be in regulation. Prabhu, abhi kirtan karne dijiye, abhi seva nahi karni. No. That also should be regulated in our stage, in our platform. So one who is regulated in all these activities. So our life is actually, Prabhupada tells, Krishna consciousness is simply recreation, isn't it? As soon as you get up in the morning, you sing and dance. Who is the person who starts his day singing and dancing? Any materialist can do that? As soon as he gets up, he dances. No. Oh, office. I have to go again. Office. School. Assignment. But as soon as we get up, we sing and dance. And once he comes back, अरे आज इसने ये बोला, ये गालियां दी बॉस ने, ये लॉस हो गया. Always he embarrassed. He is morose. But devotee comes back, again he sings and dances. So devotee is life. And then he takes Krishna Prasadam, tasty Prasadam. Krishna accepts very kindly. And when he takes Krishna Prasadam very nicely. And then we are fond of hearing stories and novels. He hears Krishna stories every day very nicely. So thus entire Krishna consciousness, people are fond of visiting places. Devotee visits so many places in Dham Yatra. And an entire pilgrimage. So one of the devotees, he went with his parents to some hill station, Kullu, Manali, some place. So I told, how was it? Told, Prabhu, torture us. हाथ नहीं निकाल सकते रजाई से बाहर, जम जाता है हाथ. What people are doing there? Simply clicking photos. So this is real enjoyment. In entire pilgrimage, we sing and dance morning to evening. So this is called bliss. This is called recreation. So Prabhupada tells our recreation is chanting and hearing. So that is why it should be regulated. So cricket watching is illegitimate recreation. In this, if we watch cricket, Krishna does not derive any pleasure. Yeah. So the question is, if life partner has cheated, then should we pray that she or he will be happy wherever he is? So we should not pray for coming back or going away. We should pray, Krishna, please help him or her in Krishna consciousness, in advancement. And thank you very much that he or she has gone away. We should be grateful. So in material conception of life, this is the situation, Delhi ka laddu. If we get so-called life partner, everyone is choosing their life partners, right? And the result of choosing life partner is depression is increasing in life. And divorce rate is increasing. So being with the person you love will not make you happy, but guaranteed will give you depression. Guaranteed, 100%. Why guaranteed? Prahlāda Mahārāja is telling, as soon as one works to increase happiness, distress begins. So why did you marry? To increase your happiness? But yes, if you are marrying for Krishna's happiness, so marriage is not prohibited. Even sex life is not prohibited. If I am having sex life, Prabhupada told my spiritual master was Nashtik Brahmachari. From his childhood he was Brahmachari. But he told, if I can produce Krishna conscious children, I can have sex hundreds of times. So thus devotee can do anything but for service of Krishna. So if you are indulging in sex pleasure for producing a Krishna conscious child, for this rules and regulations are there, follow all the things very nicely. You should be regular in your rounds. On the day of conceiving the child, chant 50 rounds. Consider the date, time, circumstances. And for producing child, if you are doing sex pleasure, that sex pleasure is not prohibited. That is devotional service. If you are marrying for advancement in Krishna consciousness, how marriage is for advancement? Because not everyone can be a brahmachari. Because of past karma, senses could be very strong. But I choose a life partner who is a devotee, not basis what will please my senses. So if I am choosing a life partner who is advanced in devotional qualities, if I have an association of a devotee with me, I will advance, then such marriage will make a person happy. So thus, one should neither ask association nor separation. Krishna, you desire what is good for me, but yes, I don't become angry if our life partner, they cheat us. I am always, what to speak of cheating if somebody is killing us, like Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur was praying for their safety. Devotee is always well-wisher of everyone. Which stage I am and how I can work hard. How I can track. Okay, the question is, how do I track my progress in Krishna consciousness? How would you understand on which stage I am? So this is mentioned by Rupa Goswami in Nectar of Instruction. He tells how do we understand our stage. So you can please read that next of instruction, you will get answer. Rupa Goswami is describing who is Kanishthadhikari, who is a Madhyamadhikari, who is Uttamadhikari. So neophyte means one is very, very strict in following the rules and regulations. One is having the Brahminical qualifications, very strict in deity worship, but does not know how to respect devotees, how to serve devotees. He does not know importance of devotees, does not know how to preach others, does not have a spirit of preaching. That is called Kanishthadhikari, neophyte stage. So when Madhyamadhikari means one becomes strong in philosophy and one is able to preach others, then that stage is called one knows how to respect the devotee of the Lord. When a person attains this platform, he is called Madhyamadhikari. And very simply, Prabhupada explains, just like when we are eating food, then there is no need of proof. We understand that I've eaten food. When I ate food, what happened? My hunger got mitigated. I am no more hungry. So I should see that material desires, this material hunger should go away from body. And then I got strength. I was weak. Any allurement is there. I get hooked onto it for enjoyment. Now I can resist sense enjoyment. I get strength. And then when I took food, I got taste in it. So similarly, if I follow this Krishna consciousness and I am getting taste, that means I am advancing. So these are three important parameters I can check. How much my lust and greed is reducing in my heart, means hunger is going away. How much strength I am getting to resist material enjoyment, tushti pushti shuddh apaya, and how much taste I am getting in spiritual practices. Whether my taste is increasing in chanting, hearing, serving, associating with the devotees, then in this way I can track.
I am continuously getting urges due to my past.
Yes.
So how do I do this karma by always giving pleasure to Krishna?
So that is what we discussed. We have material desires only because of past karma. So now, under the guidance of expert spiritual master, all of them can be dovetailed for the service of Krishna. That is called karma yoga. So just like ideally we should not eat, but because we will be forced to eat, we can offer Krishna nice foodstuffs and then we can eat. So I have a tendency to act in a certain way, to do business, to studies or follow a profession. I can engage in that occupation, profession, and I can offer the results to Krishna. And as we discussed, if I have sex urge, I can use this urge, I can get married, and then I can produce Krishna conscious children. And then I earn money and then I donate it for Krishna. In this way, sex urge can be used also in service of Krishna. In this way, I can dovetail the baggage of past karma and advance in Krishna consciousness. So all this should be done under guidance of spiritual master.
How we can be very much focused because we are very much distracted by social media, Facebook.
So we should stop. There is no need of social media and Facebook unless we are doing it for preaching. So for preaching also, there are various apps now. You can set timer. For 5 minutes, my Instagram will work in a day. Or parental control apps are there. 5 minutes are sufficient for posting. So the social media is required for preaching. Otherwise, how can we preach? Entire world is on social media. So we have to be active, but not entirely active. 5 or 10 minutes, what is required? Let somebody install parental control app in your phone and they can open a window. Let's say morning 10 o'clock to 10:10. This Instagram will work. Then Facebook will work. Then automatically it will stop working. In those 10 minutes, you share Krishna conscious videos, posts, links, anything, and then you come out. This thing. So in this way, take help of devotees, but it is very important that you come out of this addiction. Take guidance of devotees.
Steady in Krishna consciousness.
How I can?
Guide my kid.
Yeah.
Steady in Krishna consciousness. Because anyway, after studying, he will get a job. Then again, he will go to distress.
No, so that is why it is important. Prahlāda Mahārāja is not telling that doing a job will give distress. Prahlāda Mahārāja is also doing job of being a king of demons. And he is in association of demons, so contaminating. So job does not contaminate us. It is the result of activity which contaminates us if it is used for sense enjoyment. I should not do job for my personal enjoyment. So thus Prabhupada tells the devotees of Krishna consciousness, they do jobs and they offer at least 50% of their wealth for Krishna. So they should not be considered materialists. They are sannyasis, Prabhupada tells. And Krishna tells, what is sannyasi? Arjuna was willing to become this Falgu sannyasi, that I don't want to fight. No, this is not, this is artificial. Krishna told, Anashrita karma phalam karyam karma karotiya sa sannyasi cha yogi cha. One who works not for enjoying the results of the activity, sa sannyasi, he is actually sannyasi. So thus, if your child is getting educated and he does job for satisfaction of Krishna, he is a sannyasi.
Please take one session.
Yes, whenever we visit Pune, we can plan a session. But meanwhile, we have got very wonderful center. His Grace Sampati Prabhu from Bangalore. He is there now. He has taken charge of preaching in Baner, Hinjawadi. We have got our center, and very soon we may have a temple also if Krishna blesses. So please, you can visit. The details you can mail us. We will send you the address and everything. So please start attending. Many good devotees are coming every day or on weekends and attending the programs. So if I happen to visit, so definitely we can plan some association. Yes, definitely. Question is, can we have a session to glorify Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj? We can definitely have it. We'll try to have it on his appearance or disappearance day. Same question is how to become strong while we are in material world. So what we discussed, follow all these principles, what we discussed in the lecture.
Please bring Bhagavatam classes daily.
Bhagavatam classes, yes. So Bhagavatam classes are happening daily. And if you want the link, you can please share the morning sadhana which we do here. This is a folk residency where I am taking class, means the place where youngsters, they live in, try to follow the principles of Krishna consciousness. So every morning, the morning sadhana is streamed on Zoom. Now also we are doing it. So you can please mail or you can mention, share your email ID in the comment, whatever you wish. Or you can drop a message in the WhatsApp contact, which we have shared on the about page of our YouTube channel. And then we'll share you the link of the morning Zoom session. Every day morning Bhagavatam class is streamed. Please try to hear that. So thank you so much. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की